Welcome back to Rare Gameroom Gaming. Today we're looking into the pixelated chaos of Gauntlet on the Nintendo Entertainment System, a dungeon-crawling classic that brought arcade action home in a big way. But there's more to this game than meets the eye. Stick around, because we've got rare facts, comparisons, and some surprising developer history coming your way. Before it hit the NES in 1987, Gauntlet was already making waves in the arcades.
Gauntlet, the new fantasy adventure from Atari Games. The most fun a quarter can buy.
Developed by Atari Games and released in 1985, Gauntlet was one of the first multiplayer dungeon crawlers, allowing up to 4 players to battle monsters together in real time. This wasn't just another coin-op. It was one of the first arcade games to use a digital speech synthesis chip with iconic phrases like,
"Welcome. Treasure 100 points."
What many don't know is that Gauntlet was inspired by an earlier Atari prototype called Dandy. Developed by John Palovich for the Atari 8-bit family. And here's a twist. Atari faced legal heat over the similarities. The original Nintendo version of Gauntlet was developed by Tengen, a subsidiary of Atari Games. But unlike many games at the time, Gauntlet didn't come with Nintendo's official seal of approval. That's right. This was one of those infamous unlicensed Tengen cartridges that bypassed Nintendo's lockout chip. You might remember the distinctive black cart design. The original Nintendo version, released in 1987, was actually very different from the arcade original. It featured a new story, password system, and over 100 unique levels. Instead of 4 characters, you could only play 2 players. You can play as Thor the Warrior, Merlin the Wizard, Thyra the Valkyrie, and Quester the Elf. Now, let's talk about the Famicom. Japan never got Gauntlet in the same form as the US NES version. However, a Famicom Disk System game called The Quest of Key shares dungeon-crawling DNA and puzzle room designs similar to Gauntlet, but officially, no direct Gauntlet release for the Japanese market. The man behind Gauntlet was Ed Logg, a legendary game designer at Atari. Before Gauntlet, Logg co-created Asteroids and Centipede. Two of the most influential arcade titles of all time. His approach to cooperative gameplay in Gauntlet paved the way for future multiplayer dungeon crawlers. And Tengen, the original Nintendo publisher, was known for other unlicensed titles like Tetris, RBI Baseball, and Pac-Man. All of which were embroiled in the battle between Atari and Nintendo. While exact original Nintendo sales numbers are tough to pin down due to the unlicensed status, Gauntlet was a solid performer. The arcade version earned Atari over $25 million in its first year alone, and the original Nintendo version remained a cult favorite. Gauntlet kicked off a franchise that spanned decades. Gauntlet 2, Gauntlet, the third encounter on the Atari Lynx. Gauntlet Legends on the N64 and PlayStation. And even a reboot in 2014 for PC and PS4. Compare Gauntlet to modern dungeon crawlers like Diablo. Enter the Gungeon. Or Hades. And you'll see its influence everywhere. Non-stop action, maze-like levels, and that hunger for loot and survival. Even classic games like The Legend of Zelda owe a nod to Gauntlet's fast-paced, room-to-room exploration. Like Dark Souls, that constant tension between risk and reward, and managing health while enemies keep coming, that design DNA traces all the way back to Gauntlet. So, there you have it, the history of Gauntlet on the original Nintendo, a game born in arcades, adapted by rebels, and still casting a long shadow over modern gaming. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It really helps the channel grow. And we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us what game you'd like us to cover next. And don't go anywhere. Click one of the videos on your screen now to continue exploring the history of your favorite classic games, right here on Rare Gameroom Gaming.